As you may know, I am Nigerian. My name is the first giveaway, but I've also declared myself as Nigerian on my Instagram account. My parents are Nigerian, but I was born and raised in England. As many first-gen kids may know, this means that you end up with somewhat of a duality of cultures. You end up having a mix of both the culture that you were raised in and the culture that your parents are from, and end up feeling like you're not fully part of either, but you love them both fiercely. I hope to be a professional illustrator one day, and it's important to me to create characters that celebrate Nigerian culture, particularly the culture of my own tribe, the Ibibio people. The country we know as Nigeria is a plot of land inhabited by a myriad of tribes that were stolen by the British during the Berlin Conference of 1885. So what happened is Africa was just sitting there minding its own business, being Africa, and a bunch of European rulers and governments, whatever, discovered that Africa had all these rich minerals in the soil and precious gems and oil to be acquired, I guess, and in their racist, white supremacist mindset, decided that the people who occupied this land, the Africans, were unequipped to manage the land they and their ancestors had been managing since the beginning of mankind. What really irked the Europeans, in my opinion, is that the Africans weren't ruling the land the way the Europeans would have, and that there was all this lush soil and beautiful ecosystem that didn't belong to them. So anyway, a bunch of European countries got together and had a 4-month conference in Berlin spanning from November of 1884 to February of 1885, and during the conference they divided up the African continent among them and then went in and forcibly occupied the land, killing millions of people and breaking every single international peace law. So Nigeria was formed artificially by British colonialists who forced a group of people from different tribes and languages to become one country. Basically, because of this, Nigeria is made up of up to 400 different tribes and languages. Often, if you Google Nigeria, you'll be given the top 4 largest tribes, and that is Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, and Fulani. But what the results don't share is that the 5th largest tribe is the Ebibio tribe, my tribe. Each tribe has its own traditions, its own folklore, and its own belief system. Every tribe is unique and an entity unto itself, so you can't just group all the tribes together as a monolith in the same way that you can't just group all African countries together. It's not just Nigeria that is like this either. Many, if not all, of the countries in Africa are made up of multiple tribes and people who were forced together through colonialism to become one country. And so, there are many similarities across the tribes and many differences. So today, I just wanted to tap into my Nigerian heritage and draw some Nigerian brides from the 5 most populous tribes that make up Nigeria. I had to do 5 in order to get my own tribe in there. Today I'm sketching in my Colorays coloured pencils because I know that I want to colour these illustrations in with my new alcohol markers, and I've learned from my YouTube professors that using a coloured pencil makes it less muddy when you colour it in. After the sketches, I am then going in with my 0.5mm superior needle drawing pen, which I love because it doesn't smudge when you put alcohol marker on it. And I actually got this pen from the Drawbox website. Then I'm colouring in with my new Ahuu alcohol markers. As you just got a little impromptu history of Nigeria's colonial past, I thought it might be fun to go through the marriage customs from the tribes that are represented here. I'll begin with the Yoruba tribe. So this is the biggest tribe in Nigeria. I think something like 13% of Nigerians, in Nigeria at least, are Yoruba. And chances are that if you meet a Nigerian outside of Nigeria, they are Yoruba. And often when people talk about Nigerian culture, they're talking about the Yoruba culture. I should also say that weddings and marriages are a big part of Nigerian culture, and they have been for many centuries, since before the colonialists invaded. And when the English missionaries came to Nigeria, they brought with them Christianity, which wasn't a bad thing. They also brought with their Christianity the English culture, which ended up being a bad thing because they decided that the English culture was better than the tribal cultures and demanded that we adapt in order to succeed on the land that they stole. So they made it so that marriages have to be presided over by a religious leader or in the courts in order for it to be in the British courts or British implemented court. The law authenticated what we know as the white wedding, but the tribal courts don't recognize the legal wedding. So what has ended up happening is that many Nigerians will have two weddings. They'll have a traditional wedding and an English white wedding. So the Yoruba people mainly live in Western Nigeria, and their marriage customs are elaborate but effective. I actually think many of the tribes have elaborate marriage cultures, and I'm here for it. So first, the groom and his family will informally introduce themselves to the bride's father and her family. And at this point, they will negotiate the bride price. And once that's decided, they will negotiate the dowry. So the bride price is a list of items the groom must provide in order to show that he is willing and able to take on the responsibility of providing for his wife's wants and needs. It includes yams, which are one of the main food sources in Nigeria, and also hot alligator peppers, palm wine, many other food and drinks. There might be a goat included in this. It differs for each tribe, and often it differs for each village as well. And then it will also have other luxuries for the bride, such as fabrics and accessories and perfumes and stuff. Both families will actually contribute to the cost of the wedding, and often the richer family will take on more responsibility, so the cost of the wedding doesn't necessarily go to the bride's family. In many Nigerian weddings and big celebrations, you will typically see a large group of guests wearing the same fabric or the same colour in different designs and styles. It has a different name for each tribe and each language, but what it is it's a way of distinguishing the family members and closest friends from the other guests. In the Yoruba weddings, there will be one colour or fabric for the bride's family and a different one for the groom's family. So the engagement ceremony takes place the day before the wedding, and in many ways it's just as important as the wedding. The ceremony is conducted by two masters of ceremonies, one on the bride's side and one on the groom's side, and they go through an elaborate spectacle of the groom's family asking for the bride's hand in marriage and the bride's family accepting. And then the gifts that were on the bride price will then be presented at this ceremony, and just like that, they are married. So the Igbo traditional wedding customs is a 7-step process and just as elaborate and wonderful as the Yoruba. So step 1 is the groom's family asking for the bride's hand in marriage. And step 2 is that both families run a background check on each other, which I think is a really important step, and all families should adopt it so that you know everything about the family that you're marrying into. Step 3, once they've accepted that they're each marrying into good families, is when they meet to discuss the bride price. And then step 4, they meet to negotiate the dowry. And then step 5 is the actual traditional marriage ceremony, and the bride will have her bridal train, who will be wearing the matching fabric, which in Igbo is called the asoebi. And I apologize for all my pronunciations. I was raised in England. I do my best. So the word for wedding ceremony in Igbo literally translates as the wine carrying ceremony, and there are many facets to this ceremony which I won't go into. Each family has their own big formal entrance and there's lots of dancing. There is no Nigerian occasion in which there isn't lots of dancing, lots of very energetic, exuberant, wonderful dancing. And at the key moment in the ceremony, the bride will take a container of wine, I think traditionally it was palm wine, from her father's household and take it to her husband's. And this symbolises her leaving her father's house and being united with her groom. The Igbo culture also, there's, is it a nut? I have to look up exactly what it is, but it's called Colonial, and it's a symbol of welcome. It's something that is used a lot in their culture and is presented to guests when they come into a household and to show peace and welcome. And there's the passing round of the collar in the wedding ceremony as well to show the unity of both families. In step 6, the newlyweds are sent off with blessings and all their gifts. And finally, in step 7, their families visit them in their new home, where they bless them again and pray for lots and lots of babies. The Hausa people reside mainly in the northern parts of Nigeria and are predominantly Muslim. And their marriage traditions have been heavily influenced by Islam. So their customs are simpler than both the Yoruba and Igbo traditions, but also similar in some ways. So the group will approach the bride's family to ask for her hand in marriage, and each family will run the background check on the other. And once they're satisfied that they're marrying into good families, the groom's family will come bearing gifts and formally ask for the bride's hand in marriage. Then the negotiations for the bride price and the dowry happen. In Islam, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my research told me that the lower the bride price, the more blessings the couple will have. So the families will try to negotiate for a price that's as low as possible, but also respectful of the bride. The women of the bride's family will prepare her for her new life as a wife, and then they will have the marriage ceremony with all of the food and drinks and stuff, and then the bride and groom will be taken to their new home. So it's traditionally the husband's duty to provide the house, and then it's the bride's family's duty to provide the furnishing of the house. The Fulani, or the Fula people, are traditionally a nomadic people, and so they can be found all over West Africa. And actually, that's true of all of these tribes. My maiden name is actually very common in Ghana and Nigeria. But anyway, so the Fulani people can be found all over West Africa, in Nigeria, Guinea, Mali, Niger, and other African countries, which just emphasize what I was saying about the borders in Africa being contrived by Europeans and their greed. But in Nigeria, the Fulani people mainly reside in the north, along with the Hausa, and they are also predominantly Muslim. So their marriage ceremony is also more simplified than Igbo or Yoruba. And because the Hausa and Fulani are both Muslim and live in the same geographic area, they are sometimes classed together. I think they have many cultural similarities, but they also have many distinctions as well. So for my purposes, I'm going to keep them separate. So the Fulani marriage process has 3 stages. The first stage is fairly controversial, and many Fulani people don't perform this stage anymore. But traditionally, the groom was flogged in public and watched by a large crowd. And if he cried out in pain, he was not allowed to get married because his cries would show that he was a coward and not someone who can protect his wife and his family. So this is a custom that is dying out, and it's also something that wasn't practiced by all Fulani people. They have their own caste system within them, and the nobles of the Fulani tribe would never perform this stage. So the second stage is the groom's visit to the bride's family, where he will traditionally bring with him a herd of cattle and presents for the bride price. And then after the wedding, the bride leaves her father's village, and moves to her husband's village, where she is welcomed by the women of the village. She is then adorned in brass bracelets, 1 on each arm and 2 on each ankle, and served by the youngest females in her husband's home in her husband's village, I think, for 4 to 6 months. And then finally, we have my people, the Ebibio people. So there are 6 stages to the Ebibio marriage customs, similar to the Igbo, which has 7 stages. And we tend to live in similar areas as the Igbo tribe. The 6 stages are... The first stage is called the Ibibio, which means to know the house. And this is when the groom comes to visit the bride's family, and he will traditionally bring with him wine, palm wine, and other drinks in order to win over the fam. Step 2 is called the Nkongudok or Nkongusong, which means the knocking on the door. And this is the formal proposal, when the groom will get the bride price list. And again, there is much drinking of wine. Step 3 is the Uno Eno, which means to give something. And you may notice that the first part of my name is slipped into there, and that's because my name means God's gift, or gift of God. Eno means gift. And so this is the day when the groom and his people will visit the wife, or visit the bride's parents with the items on the bride list, and this is when they'll be presented to her family. Step 4 is Usorondo, which is the traditional marriage, and all the village gets involved. The women and the children in the area will openly make a request to the groom and his family. I don't know what kind of request, but they will make a request to them, and everybody has to comply to this request in order to gain entrance into the bride's family compound. And at this point, a fake bride will be presented to the groom and his family, whom they will unveil, and they will either have to reject or accept the person that is under that veil. And obviously, you're hoping that he'll reject this person. And then finally, the bride will dance to meet her husband, and then they'll dance together and have their first dance of the wedding. after she's been received by her husband, if he is of a different tribe, she may go and change into the traditional attire of her husband's tribe. So like if it's an Ibibio wife marrying an Igbo man, she'll go get dressed in Igbo traditional gear. And lots of fun and drinking and eating and all the good stuff happens. Step 5 is Udiongndo, which is the marriage blessing, where the bride, the groom and their parents will all share a drink from the same cup as a symbol of unity and love. And then finally, step 6 is Idianendo, which is when the couple is blessed and declared husband and wife, and then everybody dances. So this is by no means a comprehensive guide on Nigerian culture. I am not the authority on Nigerian culture, least of all on the tribes that are not my own, not even on the tribe that is my own. But this is just a few highlights about the wedding ceremonies, the wedding customs of these 5 Nigerian tribes that I've been able to find through research on Google and books. And so I encourage you, if you're interested, to do more research. And if you have Nigerian friends, ask them about it. They might be able to tell you more if they want to. Don't bug them if they don't. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed learning something about Ibibio culture, and have a good day, good evening, or good night. Goodbye.